I still remember the way the hospital lights buzzed that night. Too bright, too cold, like even the universe was watching us struggle and didn't care. My child was small, fragile, fighting a rare hybrid illness that even the human doctors and alien medtechs couldn't fully explain. One moment they were laughing, chasing floating holographic bubbles my wife created just to cheer them up, and the next, they were burning up with fever, their tiny hands gripping mine like I was the only stable thing left in reality. We needed help. Real help. Expensive help. So I called my parents. At first, I thought maybe they were busy. That's what people tell themselves before the truth becomes too heavy to carry. I called again. And again. Messages, voice notes, even a video call where my child weakly whispered, "Grandpa?" No answer. When they finally responded, it wasn't concern. It was distance. Cold, polished distance. "This is what happens when you choose a life we didn't approve of," my mother said, as if illness followed moral judgment. My father didn't even look at the camera properly. "We're not responsible for this situation. You made your choices." And then silence. Not even a check-in after that. My alien wife stood beside me during it all. Her species had no concept of abandonment within family units, at least not emotionally. She tilted her head, confused, processing human cruelty like it was a broken translation module. "Your genetic elders are refusing support during offspring distress?" she asked softly, her voice shimmering with disbelief. "That is statistically inefficient behavior." "Yeah," I said, trying to laugh but failing. "Welcome to Earth." We sold what we could. I took double shifts at the orbital dockyard. She used her biolite crafting skills to create small energy trinkets we sold illegally at first, then legally after some bureaucratic confusion involving 3 confused alien clerks and 1 screaming human supervisor. At night, we took turns holding our child so the other could sleep. My wife would hum alien lullabies that made the room glow faint blue, like the universe itself was trying to comfort us. I'd sit there, exhausted, watching our child breathe a little more steadily each day, and I made myself a promise. Not to my parents. To my family right there in that room. We weren't going to break. A year doesn't sound like much when you say it quickly, but it changes everything when you survive it minute by minute. My child recovered slowly, like the universe was unsure whether to give them back fully or just keep teasing us. But eventually, laughter returned. The weak coughs turned into loud opinions. The hospital visits turned into routine checkups. And life, strangely stubborn life, kept moving forward. My alien wife adjusted faster than I did. She said Earth's medical system was emotionally chaotic but functionally effective, which was her polite way of saying it was a mess held together by hope and caffeine. Still, she adored our child. Their mixed human-alien traits made them unusually curious, unusually energetic, and unfortunately, unusually creative when bored. That creativity is what led to everything. It was during the annual City Harmony Festival, a ridiculous event where humans, aliens, and half a dozen interstellar cultures tried to pretend they understood each other through food stalls and dancing drones. I was working nearby, my wife was helping at a cultural exchange booth, and our child had wandered off with a group of neighborhood kids. Then the alarm started. A maintenance drone, one of the large alien utility units, had malfunctioned. It wasn't dangerous in the end of civilization way, but it was big, loud, and absolutely convinced that everything in its path needed to be optimized. It was tearing through festival stalls, flipping food carts, and causing chaos as people ran in every direction. Security systems froze. Human responders panicked. Even some alien officials started arguing about which protocol applied. And then our child showed up. Not running away like everyone else, walking straight toward it like it was just another annoying school assignment. I saw it on the public feed later. The camera drones caught everything. Our child picked up a discarded festival toy, some ridiculous alien prank device that shoots harmless color bursts, and calmly aimed it at the massive machine. No fear. No hesitation. Just pure, ridiculous confidence. The first burst of color hit the drone's sensor array. The second triggered its outdated humor recognition protocol. The third somehow convinced it that the entire environment was a performance meant to test its festive cooperation mode. The machine paused. Then it started dancing. Yes. A malfunctioning interstellar maintenance drone, built to repair starport infrastructure, began spinning in slow, awkward circles like it was trying to win a talent show. The crowd went silent for half a second. Then someone laughed. Then everyone did. Within minutes, the situation transformed from panic to entertainment. The drone eventually powered itself down after declaring the festival emotionally satisfying. Our child just stood there, confused, holding the toy like they weren't entirely sure why adults were cheering. A reporter rushed in immediately. Microphones appeared from every direction. Questions came faster than logic. What did you do? Was this planned? Are you a trained crisis responder? My child blinked, shrugged, and said, "It looked like it wanted to play." That was it. The clip went everywhere. Within hours, our child wasn't just a kid anymore, they were a symbol of interspecies harmony, the festival savior. And according to one dramatic news anchor, the smallest diplomat in known space history. My alien wife watched the broadcast with wide eyes. "Your offspring has achieved accidental social elevation," she said. "This is highly inefficient, but impressive." I just sighed. Yeah. That sounds about right for our family. It started with one missed call. Then 10. Then a flood of messages that looked like they were trying very hard to sound casual but failing at every line. "Hey, just checking in. We saw something about a festival incident. Is that your child? We should talk. Family is important." Funny how family is important only appears in their vocabulary when cameras are involved. I didn't respond. Because I remembered everything. The hospital nights. The exhaustion that made my hands shake while I signed payment forms. My child whispering for help. And my parents, comfortable, wealthy, completely absent. But the world had moved on. The video of my child went viral. News channels picked it up. Alien cultural forums replayed it. Humans called it adorably chaotic heroism. Some alien species apparently considered it a valid case study in improvisational crisis resolution. And suddenly, my parents existed again. Not as silent observers. As proud grandparents. They started posting old photos of my childhood online, carefully cropping out any mention of the years they refused to acknowledge my current life. My mother even changed her profile description to something like supportive family of rising interstellar hero. It would have been funny if it wasn't so predictable. My alien wife found the whole thing fascinating. She sat beside me scrolling through the posts, tilting her head at every exaggerated caption. "They are attempting to retroactively assign emotional contribution," she said. "Is this a common Earth strategy? Only for people who regret their decisions too late," I replied. Our child, of course, was oblivious to all of it. They were more interested in their new local fame, mostly because strangers kept giving them free snacks and asking them to repeat the robot dance incident. Then came the knock. Not a message. Not a call. A real, physical knock at the door. 3 sharp hits. Confident. Familiar. My parents didn't wait long before I opened it. They stood there dressed too neatly, holding gifts that looked expensive but emotionally empty. My mother smiled like nothing had ever happened. My father carried that same expression of quiet judgment, except now it was wrapped in politeness. "We thought it was time we reconnected," my mother said immediately, stepping forward like she already belonged inside my life again. "We're so proud of everything your child has achieved." "Of course," my father added. "Families should present a united image, especially now." Behind me, I could hear my alien wife moving closer. I didn't need to look to know she was analyzing them like an unsolved equation with poor design choices. And my child, completely unaware of the tension, peeked around the corner and said brightly, "Oh, these are the grandparents who didn't answer when I was sick." The silence after that was the loudest thing in the universe. For a moment, nobody moved. My parents' expressions froze in that uncomfortable space between denial and panic, like their carefully rehearsed script had just been thrown into a fire. My mother's smile twitched. My father looked at my child the way people look at a math problem they hoped would never ask for an answer. My alien wife, however, looked intrigued. She tilted her head slightly, her glowing ocular implants dimming as she processed the emotional contradiction in front of her. Interesting, she said softly. The offspring is demonstrating accurate historical recall. That is typically considered socially disruptive in human family diplomacy. I almost laughed. My parents tried to recover immediately. That was a very difficult period for everyone, my mother said quickly, stepping forward again. We were under a lot of stress ourselves. You must understand. No, my child interrupted casually, not even trying to be rude. I called you a lot. You didn't answer. Dead simple. No anger. No drama. Just truth. The kind of truth adults always struggle to argue with. My father cleared his throat. We're here now to support you going forward. That's what matters. My alien wife gave a small, polite smile, the kind that usually meant she was about to dismantle someone's logic with kindness. In our species, she said gently, support is measured in response during distress, not presence after public recognition. That line landed harder than anything I could have said. The awkward energy thickened. Before anything else could be forced into politeness, the community celebration invitation arrived, timed almost cruelly by coincidence. A floating notification droned past by outside, announcing the upcoming ceremony honoring the Festival Incident Resolution Hero. My child clapped excitedly. That's me. And suddenly my parents perked up too. Oh, of course we'll attend, my mother said immediately. We should be seated in the family section. But the universe, apparently, had other plans for fairness. At the ceremony, the hall was full. Humans, aliens, hybrid families, officials, journalists, everyone who had seen the viral footage. My child was called onto the stage first, still small, still casually unaware of how many people were watching. Then came the acknowledgments. They started listing people who had supported the child during the illness recovery period. Neighbors who donated resources. Alien technicians who adjusted medical systems. Coworkers who took extra shifts. Even the small clinic nurse who stayed overtime without pay. Each name received applause. Each contribution was recognized. My parents leaned forward slightly, waiting. The list continued. And never once mentioned them. Not a single acknowledgement. Not even a vague reference. My mother's smile started fading. My father's jaw tightened. Then the final moment arrived. My child stepped forward to speak, holding the small award plaque like it was something slightly annoying but also interesting. I just want to say, they said into the microphone, I'm happy I got better. My mom and dad worked really hard. And my grandparents didn't answer the phone when I was sick, so I think they were busy. A few seconds of silence. Then the crowd laughed. Not cruelly. Just honestly. Because kids don't filter truth the way adults do. My parents stood there, surrounded by recognition they had tried to claim but never earned, and realized something simple. They weren't part of this story. Not the beginning. Not the struggle. Not the survival. Just an awkward footnote trying to rewrite itself into importance. As the ceremony continued, I felt my alien wife gently take my hand. Her grip was warm, steady. You built this outcome without their contribution, she whispered. That is highly efficient emotional architecture. I looked at my child, smiling under the lights, completely unaware of the political tension they had just dismantled with one sentence. Yeah, I said quietly. We did. And for the first time in a long time, the word family didn't feel like something I had to fight for.